It's time for a book review. I haven't done any book reviews in quite a while, and I do feel guilty about that, but we're going to fix that today. This is Yvonne DeVita from Nurturing Big Ideas, and the book I'm going to talk about today is Drinking from a Different Well: How Women's Stories Change What Power Means in Action by Annette Simmons. And I don't remember where I met Annette. I think I met Annette online, the way I meet so many of the wonderful people I'm connected to. But it doesn't matter. I met her. I heard about this wonderful book. I was immediately in love with it. I mean, when we're talking about women's stories and changing what power means in action, you know that I'm going to be there. So first of all, let me tell you a little bit about Annette. Annette is the CEO of Group Process Consulting and best-selling author of 5 books. She's been featured on CNBC's Power Launch, NPR's Market Watch, and numerous talk radio programs, and quoted in Fortune, Working Women, Harvard Business Review. The list goes on. She's valued for her expertise in social psychology and leadership development. And her website is AnnetteSimmons.com. I want to start this book review and try to keep it short. I'm not sure I can, but I want to start it off with a paragraph from the introduction, written by Annette, of course. I want to rescue this word moral from negative connotations of judgment and control back to the original source of morals, which is storytelling. My definition of a moral is a storied lesson passed down from our ancestors in order to help us imagine how our actions today will impact our tomorrows. We need to redefine power in a way that better balances the goals of individual and collective well-being. And that's a really big theme of this book, individual and collective well-being. If we as people in this society, let's talk about America, if we are not part of a community, what are we? We value individualism. We value each person's talents, whatever those may be. But in the end, if there isn't a collective purpose and a collective meaning, if the community we belong to doesn't matter to us as much as our individuality, then we're missing something. And that's a big part of what this book talks about. You can see I've got a whole bunch of little tabs here that I want to refer to. And that one in the introduction really, excuse me, really struck me. I want to go on and I'm going to read from the tabs that I have in the book because that really will give you the flavor of the book. I'm reviewing the book today because this book speaks to me relevant to the power I do or do not have, or think I do or do not have in the world that I live in. If I look back on the last 25 years, 30 years, maybe a little longer because my kids are older than that, I never felt powerful. I had power, I just didn't know it. And I didn't know how to deal with it. And over time, in the last maybe 10 years, it's finally occurred to me that yes, my stories are powerful and I can share them and be proud. In this chapter, this is chapter 1, where we're talking about my own story. And this is Annette talking about her story. She says, I've discovered that the most honest way to narrate my own life is to reject the way toxic males evaluate me and to trust my emotions to guide me. I've been guided by my emotions for so much of my life. I just can't tell you. And this book has made me think so much more deeply about some of the stories I have that I have never told because I was afraid to. So she goes on to talk about, let me just get this, excuse me, one moment. Stories women tell about power that men don't. And this chapter was really fantastic and fascinating, just fascinating, because within the book, there are stories other women have contributed. Annette went out and got stories from other women to talk about when they felt powerful, when they didn't feel powerful. And in this chapter, on page 17, she writes, a significant number of women's stories about power openly violate traditional assumptions about power derived from centuries of male narratives, theories, and definitions. We are a product, we people in our community, in the American society, of those male narratives, theories, and definitions. And I, for one, have never figured out why. But this book goes into a little bit of the why and in the stories that other women have said, how they got out of that mindset of allowing those male narratives to define them. And then we go on to this tab where I have so many things underlined. I could have put like a dozen more tabs in here, but I didn't. So this is chapter 5, how women's narratives change the story. And Virginia Woolf, she has a quote from Virginia Woolf in the beginning. As a woman, I have no country. As a woman, I want no country. As a woman, my country is the whole world. And the next page, she says, Annette, we will only make sense of the male-female tug of war over power when we concentrate on how often these preferences mischaracterize the other side as the opposition. And so women do this also, yes. But we're kind of forced into it, aren't we? We're kind of told from very young age that we're put into these two separate camps where boys get to do team sports and they're strong and they're powerful and they're not supposed to hit girls and they're supposed to take care of you. And girls are put into this camp where they do individual sports and they are nurturing and they take care of their brothers and sisters and they grow up and they become mommies. And maybe they do go out into the workforce, but so what? You still have to do that mommy thing, or you have to take care of your husband and your household. Opposing sides. And the story that comes after this that is included in the book, I want to just read one sentence from it. This woman wrote, for me, power is not about intimidating people. That makes me very uncomfortable. The kind of power that attracts me is knowledge. So knowledge, learning, I feel the same way. I feel like if I know something, if I'm educated, and that's one of the reasons that I spent a lot of time learning more about the things that I felt were important. I mean, I was a veterinary technologist for a while, worked in a veterinary office, and that was important to me. But mostly what's important to me is writing and books. That's why I read so many books. And so I constantly go out to learn more about the writing process, about the publishing process, about what it takes to be a successful author today. And that makes me, I think, that makes me feel powerful. And so on this page, where this tab, this is a green tab, and this is interesting, where Annette has created here some stories and what to do. This is what to do when competitive games threaten collaborative preferences. This chapter is, it's about how we work together when some of our counterparts, mostly the men, they are so focused on competition and not collaboration. What do you do then? Because then all these little games come up that everybody has to play. And I put the tab in here, I believe, for the Shunning Game. Now, the key about this chapter is that Annette has the games, then she has the response, and how do you react when you're in this situation, when you're in the Shunning Game, for instance. This game shows how often public humiliation, mockery, patronizing statements, or ridicule are used to silence collaborative voices. And I know now why I put that there, because there was a story in my past where I was hired to market a website company, a company that built websites. And I knew how to write websites. I knew I was a writer. I had done a lot of content writing for websites, but I didn't know how this particular company built them. I didn't know the tools they used. I didn't know the resources they had. I wanted a little peek behind the scenes so that when I was going out marketing and selling them, I could relate to the client by saying, well, this is how we do things. And the owner and his partner, there were just the three of us. The owner and his partner sat there and embarrassed me to the point of tears, saying, you don't need to know that. This is not part of sales. Why are you asking us all these questions? When someone goes to buy a pair of shoes, does the person selling the shoes have to tell them how it was made? You know, today they do. People want to know, well, how was this made? Is this, you know, where was this made? Whatever. The point being that it got so rancorous that it brought me to tears, and they smiled and they were quite happy that that happened. And I kind of knew right then that I had to get out of there, because that wasn't for me. And that's why I did that, because that particular passage, it just really brought up memories of that incident. I'm never going to forget it. I was powerless, completely and utterly powerless. So then we get up to chapter 7. We're getting to the end of the book. Using power to protect the collective. And I just want to read the quote that starts the chapter for you. If women are not perceived to be fully within the structure of power, surely it is power that we need to redefine rather than women. That's from Mary Beard, Women in Power, a Manifesto 2017. This book isn't just for women to help them understand their own power, or get the power back that they may feel they have lost, or uncover or discover the power within them that they never knew was there. It will do that, but this is, it's really a book about the collective society we live in and how men and women together are in charge of creating a better world. It's not our job as women to make things happy-go-lucky, plant the garden and put the flowers in the vase on the table. It's not their job as men to only go out and earn a living and come home and pay the bills. It's a collective thing. And when you look at it from the viewpoint of a collective effort, if you look at each of us being connected to every other person in our neighborhood, and then in our community, and then in our region. We are all connected because we're human beings. And there's even a section in the book that talks about how human beings have been doing this for ages. And we did it so much better back in the olden days because there was no choice but for men and women to work together to protect both the family and the community. So this is Yvonne DeVita. This is my book review of Drinking from a Different Well, How Women's Stories Change What Power Means in Action by Annette Simmons. Go out and get your copy today.